Talented room, I do. They're great guys to work with. I enjoy coming to work with them every day, and I'm asking them to make sure they're being pros. They're veteran guys. They've been around. I should say two of them at least veterans, but they've been in the program now. The top three guys have at least, and so I'm asking them to be pros about the way they approach the business, the way they go to meetings, walkthroughs, practice. So be pros and just continue to get better. But I love the room I got.
I know your answer is that you don't have a crystal ball for how the pecking order would work out. What do you sort of envision when you're trying to fit three guys maybe into the mix and spread those touches?
Right now we're pretty much the reps are being distributed pretty evenly right now through day two. And that'll play itself out as we move forward. They're all showing, again, we're not in pads right now, so for a running back, it's really kind of, are you in the right place? Tracks right, your eye progression right, but are you taking care of the football, even in shorts? But we'll see. That'll play itself out. I don't have the crystal ball. I say the same thing every year. I get asked the same question every year, and it's gonna be the same answer every year. But those guys all deserve to play, so I got to make sure that they're all ready to play because they all have shown the capacity and ability to play winning football here for Ohio State. That's your God. All right. I know, right?
How important do you see is that separation between 2 and 3? Somebody pulling away, taking maybe that true number 2 job. And do you frame it like that?
No, I don't think it's about trying to get separation. I just want guys to continue to get better. And if you show you can play winning ball, then we're gonna find ways. It's my job, our job to find ways to put you on the field to help this football team win. And to say that you've got to be this major separation, quite frankly, I hope there's not a whole lot of separation. It means we've got some really good guys. And not one guy is so heads and tails above someone else. You'd like to be able to have an opportunity where you have 3-4 guys that you can throw in and feel comfortable throwing them in any time.
How does an opponent like Notre Dame increase the sense of urgency?
Oh, you're playing a top flight program. You're playing a program that they're very, very well coached, well disciplined. They've got excellent players, just as we do. So in a lot of ways, the talent's equated. And so there is a sense of urgency that we can't just kind of wallow through a practice or wallow through a day. Every single day matters, and every single rep matters. Because again, you got to beat your opponent. You got to start beating them now.
You still own property there?
Do I still own property where?
In Notre Dame?
No, they threw me out of South Bend. Well, I just think this is their maturity, right? The way their bodies look. They don't have a high school body anymore, right? And they know what it takes to be a successful college football player. So their mental makeup has changed. They walk around here with a little more confidence, their chest out a little bit better. When they're talking the game, they're articulating the way that we play and using our terminology, and they're understanding the game of football much more so than they did at any time point last year. But that's just called maturation. That's how it should be. He's a pro. That guy is his mental makeup and his approach to it's always been very high. His mental makeup has always been very strong, and but the way he approaches his business. I mean, when he speaks now, it's business, and he knows what he's talking about. So, that you talk about respect is earned. Well, he's earned every bit of the respect that he's getting, and just by the way he carries himself, not just with the staff, but with the football team as a whole in the locker room. He did. I think he's light years better. I think he's light years ahead of where he was. Now, how does that translate? I can't tell you. Is that translated into yards? I mean, there's a lot of things that you can watch the maturity of him, but it may not show in yards. It may not show in carries. But what it does, it shows itself in the locker room. It shows itself in the meeting room, and just little things that you can see that he's really matured in the way he's approaches workouts every day. His maturity and how he's taking better care of his body, as far as the prehab and in the training room and things like that. Not in the moment of the season, but in the off season. What's he doing to enhance his body outside of the weight room, outside of what Mick's saying? That doesn't mean lifting weights. It might mean hydration, nutrition, sleep. going and getting, his knees looked at and worked on. So he's doing a lot of his things outside, and the way he studies the game is a lot better than what it was. But again, it just goes to maturing.
Tony, did you think that he hit any kind of freshman wall or was banged up in the second half last year?
Yeah, he was banged up. He was banged up a little bit. I do think he hit a little bit of a freshman wall. You're talking about a guy that, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I mean, it may sound like I am. But, he played football as a junior in high school. The next time he put on a helmet, he was playing in college. This is his entire senior season. We thrust him into this situation, and I do. I think in a lot of ways, his biological clock in playing football, he was tired. And the way, because here's the thing, we practice at a relentless pace as well. And what you can't do is say, well, hey, for instance, I remember when he after the Tulsa game on Sunday, we're out there stretching. I kind of looked at him, and he's like, my leg hurts, I'm tired. And I said, well, you got about 5 minutes to get in that line because you're going to practice in about 5 minutes. Because you're not allowed. You didn't have a great game, so now I'm going to take 2 days off. That's not how we do business. You're going to practice every single day. And those practice reps matter. That's how you improve in practice. And the way we practice for a young guy that can wear on. And I just think he got a little tired.
Tony, can I ask you about Xavier Johnson? He's played several positions in his time, probably knows these rooms and walls better than you. If you came to him today and said, we need you back at running back, what do you think his reaction would be?
How fast can I get there? And tell me what you need me to know. And he would come in extra and say, okay, well, what have you put in new that I don't know? And let's study that. Coach, I know you go home at 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'll be there at 10:30. Let's meet afterwards. Let's meet early. That's not even a question if he would do that. That's a foregone conclusion. That's what he would do. He would do the same thing if they said, hey, come over here and play corner. He is a consummate team player. I'm more than proud of the way he's handled himself and watched him grow into the man that he is. And I know I can speak for this entire staff. A lot of times say, well, I don't want to speak for Coach Day, or I don't want to speak. I'll speak for the entire staff on that one. And I think every single coach in that building would lay it on the line and for that kid and what he's done for this program. And I know his parents are extremely proud of him too.
How important is that to have those kinds of guys?
Critical. It's critically important because now he's tested. You used to talk about that theory versus testimony, right? That's testimony of a guy that's been moved around, maybe hasn't gone his way all the time. He didn't pout, he didn't complain. He just put his head down and said, what do I got to do next to get better? That's testimonials to anybody in that building. And I don't care if you were a walk-on, if you were a 5-star recruit coming in, first team, 15, doesn't matter. Everybody goes through stuff, right? And all Xavier's done in my eyes is just continue to persevere and find ways to overcome whatever was happening. And it didn't point the fingers all the time, but kind of pointed some fingers at himself. So, okay, where can I get better? If there's an issue going on, how can I make it better by some of the changes that maybe I have to make? And didn't find excuses for this or that not happening. He just found ways to overcome and persevere. But that's a microcosm of how he lives his life, not just in this building. And that's who he is. And I think he's a testament to not just the guys in the locker room, but to the players, and particularly the young guys coming in. The freshmen are coming in. They're like wide-eyed, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm never going to get a chance, or this isn't going well. That's not going well. Look to Xavier Johnson. Look to Cam Babb. We've got numerous examples, right? But we're talking about Xavier. But that's just how I love that kid. Dallan goes 100 miles an hour. And so the biggest thing we got to get him to kind of slow down and take a deep breath. He's very hard on himself. He's a guy that's you can tell he wants to do things perfectly, and it bothers him immensely if he doesn't. And he's going to be a really good player. I think he's got a chance to be a really good player. It's going to take some time. But we've been through day 2, right? This is the second day of playing college football. Remember, he wasn't even here in the spring. So, but he's got a chance. He's got some skills, and he can run, and he's just got to learn the game. Just learn the game and settle down, take a deep breath. He's going to be fine.
Talk to Evan, and he thinks he's really ready for a much bigger role. What's your sense of things?
Yeah, I think he's grown up as he should. Those guys have all matured. Evan wasn't ready last year. And then I'm sure we could have put him in some, so we might have had some success. But overall, you know, the overall deal, he wasn't ready, and I think he would echo that. I think he is now. You know, he needed to get roughed up a little bit and bristled up with Mick in that room, and he did. He's changed his body kind of like I talked about with those other guys, and they don't look like high school football players anymore. His mental approach to the game is also has been amped up. So I'm very excited about what prospects for him, and we need to have next couple of real good weeks here and see where we go.
Tony, you just talked about Dallan coming in only being his second practice. You had Trey and Evan last year in the spring. You have to kind of remind yourself that Dallan wasn't here in the spring every now and then this fall when you see
No, it shows up. Just watch him. You can tell he hasn't been here. You know, and when you meet, he's kind of wide-eyed, and you kind of look at him like, hey, what about this? And you can tell that, oh man, I'm not sure what that was, right? And so that's part of it. You know, that's just part of growing. And the thing is, he's a highly competitive guy. So it bothers him if he doesn't do something right the first time. But then in retrospect, you got to come back and say, well, you've never done this before, so we're good. You know, we'll get you through it. And but no, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be good. Hi, CJ.
What?
I saw you coming over there, start acting up.
Does it help with Dallan that he's coming into a normal year? He had his senior high school season. If things have gone more back to normal than maybe when Trey and Evan were getting here a year ago.
Well, I think the more you play, obviously, the better, right? So I would like to think that he did play his senior year, so that's an advantage to him, right? Now, the difference with Evan, the difference with Trey is they came in semester, so they had a little bit more time to mature into our program and sink their teeth into it than Dallan did because they were semester guys. But on the flip side, he played his senior year, they didn't. So, you know, it is what it is. We are where we are. There are no excuses for this, and whether you played your senior year, didn't play your senior year, now you're at Ohio State, and we got things to go do, and no one really cares.
Tony, how important was it to have Dallan Hayden in this class? Obviously, you had three guys, and then Dallan's now around. I mean, pair and spare, but then you need more than that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, at running back, you need depth.
Yeah.
You have to have depth. I mean, you've seen games where a couple guys in one game get go down.
Right.
So you've got to have depth, and so he was critically important.
Yeah. What has impressed you about him, for want of another term?
He goes full speed. That's one thing. We're not going to have to ask him to go faster.
Yeah.
You know, he goes 100 miles an hour. Sometimes we got to try to pull the reins on him, back him down a little bit, and slow him down. But that's probably the thing that's impressed me the most is he goes full speed. He only knows one speed. And it's impressive. He wants to learn. He's a very, very hungry kid who wants to do well, and so those are great traits. Those are great traits.
One of the quickie. I asked Ryan this last week in Chicago. I keep saying Chicago, Indianapolis. But do you have in your mind now you have to figure out some ways to get Evan on the field or involved in the mix because of what he's shown?
Yeah.
I mean, and what just in your mind, what has he proven to you? I guess over.
Well, again, I think he's toughened up. He's hardened his body up. He's gained weight and strength. I think he can present some issues. He can run and catch. And just in the first couple of days, he's made a couple plays down the field with the ball, and making plays with the ball and things like that. So, we got to find ways. It's no different than what we got playmakers. We got to find ways to get him on the field and make plays.
What excited you about Dallan as a recruit? What did you see from him as a
I think he's a tough guy. I think he's a tough guy. I think he's tough, and that's probably the thing that stood out the most. He's a tough guy. And I've gotten to know the family where they instill that in him. I know in his dad, you can't listen now. With Aaron, you can't try to be soft over there. You're gonna have a problem in that household. So, but that's the thing that probably impressed me the most. Very serious about his business, and a tough guy.
What's the hardest part right now about trying to build relationships with kids? You're not sure how things are going to go in this wild.
Well, I think as far as recruiting goes, building relationship, that hasn't changed, and for me, that'll never change, right? So to say is that harder now? No, it's not any harder to build a relationship.